Today, I'm going to have a podcast with Malaysia's 4th and 7th Prime Minister, His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohammad, one of the oldest serving Prime Minister in his time. Despite his age, Dr. Mahathir has proved the world that age is just a number and patriotism, nationalism stands above that. Okay, so the first question, in this book that I have read, The Wit and Wisdom of Dr. Mahathir Mohammad, let us start with the statement you made about Muslims worldwide. You ever stated that Muslims worldwide are weak as they have not raised meaningful objection against atrocities. But then in 2019, in December, you created the KL Summit in December 2019, where you invited Muslim countries and their leaders. What does this summit establish to make sure that we should be stronger, the Ummah should be stronger, that we are all brothers and sisters, especially in Palestine, in Uyghur, and Rohingya?
Well, I've been talking to a lot of Muslim leaders, and I find that they all agree that Muslim countries are weak. One of the reasons for their weakness is their inability to govern their country well, to see their country develop and become a developed country. And because of that, we thought that maybe if we have a meeting of some of the leaders, not all, because we cannot agree with 50 members. The number is too big, and we cannot agree. But we decided that if a few countries were to discuss the problem of governance of their country and find solutions, then we would be able to erect good governments which can keep the country stable, peaceful, and develop. And then, of course, we will be stronger. At this moment, we are very weak, and we cannot do anything when Muslims are being badly treated all over the world.
Yeah, I truly agree with that. What is your opinion, Tun, looking at how the current condition is in Palestine, in Uyghur, in Rohingya? What is your hope as not only as an influential leader, but as an individual, as a Muslim in there? What is your biggest hope?
My hope is that there will be enough Muslim countries which are well governed and developed. At this moment, there is not a single Muslim country that is classified as developed. We are all underdeveloped, and we are all very weak, and every one of us have to face a lot of problems at home, and this has not been tackled properly, and therefore we are not in a position to express our views or to take any action when Muslims are oppressed or ill-treated by certain countries.
Yeah. Okay. That was a very great statement, very motivational for individually, I as a Muslim, that we should work together because these atrocities, we should overcome them as one ummah, not only individual. Okay, talking about your experience on handling such communication with Muslim leaders around the world, I was very motivated and very encouraged to know about this developments in our Muslim world. What is your secret to be this active at your age on the world stage, on becoming a prime minister? What made you that active? What is the secret? Can you share it a little bit, Tun?
No, I was interested, of course, in the situation in Malaysia. As a Malaysian, I have to be interested. And at the same time, a lot of people, Malaysians, came to see me asking me to help, to do something, because they feel that Malaysia was not being well governed under the leadership of two of the previous prime ministers. They asked me that I must not retire, but I should come and work with them to try and resolve the problem faced by the country. That was how I was brought back into politics, because people asked me to, many delegations saw me and asked me to do something. It's not my wish. I would like to retire, but I feel I have a duty to respond to their appeals. That is how I became involved again in politics and even stood for election.
When you became the Prime Minister again in 2018 to 2020, what did you try to do, or what did you finished to make sure that Malaysia is not as what you consider as a corrupt previous administration? What have you done to fix the country for that short period of time?
There was a lot of things to do. The first thing is to clean out the administration, the government of this country. We have to get rid of corrupt people, and we have to replace them with professional people who are qualified to deal with the problems. We have also to tackle the large amount of money borrowed by the previous government. We have to do that without undermining the structure of the country. We have also to take action regarding certain laws which were abused by the previous government. So there are many things we had to do, and I was given only 22 months to do this before I was ousted. And so we have already put in place, and in certain cases we have already worked out the solutions. But before we could implement them, we find that there's been maneuvers by certain people to ensure that our government collapsed and is replaced by another government.
Okay. If, for example, in next year or this year, the Malaysian people wants the mandate to be held by Dr. Mahathir, are you ready for it, Tun?
Well, I'm 95 years old, 3 years older than when I started last time. I know I'm old, but I may not be Prime Minister, but I can help with some ideas about how to tackle problems. So I will be available if I'm required.
Okay. Now you are not a part of the official government. You're not leading the country actually. But what is your opinion towards this current administration? Before I saw an interview that you apologized for the chaotic political tensions in Malaysia. What do you think of the current one? Is it better than the previous one in 2018?
Well, this government is not the government elected by the people. It was what we call hijacked by some people by gathering enough members to get a majority and to form the government. So this government is not the government elected by the people. Secondly, we find that this government has not been able to do very much to tackle the problems, particularly with regard to the pandemic, COVID-19, and also the financial system and the economic development of Malaysia, which is badly affected by the pandemic. That is what worries us. This government has recently decided to have a state of emergency, which means that the constitution of this country has now been suspended. Parliament cannot sit. So this government has now become very powerful, but does not seem to know how to tackle the problems. a lot of experts in the country would be able to help, but their views are not taken into account.
Okay. Just now, Tun talked about the financial situation, of course, affected by the pandemic, which has a negative impact on the people also. Now, what did you do to make sure that Malaysia's economic and financial condition was strong at that time? Especially if we look at China and the United States of America, they are competing against each other at such rapid scale. If you know, in the trade economy, if we can see that. How did you react to this and make sure that back in 2018 to 2020 that they should not be trapped, Malaysia should not be trapped inside this financial but also political traps by these two superpowers?
Well, when I was Prime Minister between 18 and 20, I was able to help the country to benefit as much as possible from trade. But of course, this was affected by the trade war between America and China. However, we are not involved in that trade war.
Yeah.
China is the biggest trading partner for Malaysia. But America is also a very big trading partner. As far as possible, we do not like to take side either with America or with China, because that may affect our trade. So we were able to carry on trade and still grow in terms of our trade until COVID-19. So we were doing fairly well, and I had hoped we would recover, the economy would recover. But even though the trade war will be on, the economy of Malaysia will recover, because our trade kept on growing even during the time of the trade war.
Okay. Talking about the trade and economy, Malaysia as a member of ASEAN with Indonesia, we are very close with each other in terms of bilateral relationship and cooperation. As an Indonesian, as a student, I'm personally interested to hear from Tun about your views towards Indonesia. What do you think about Indonesia? You were Prime Minister when our president was still President Suharto, and what is the change that you see from that 80s days and into the modern world? About the leaders, about the bilateral relationship?
All the time, we regard Indonesia as our brother country. Were separated actually historically. Otherwise, we would have been one country. The thing is that Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch, we were colonized by the British, and they draw a boundary. We have retained that boundary, and we are two countries with many similar things. For example, we speak the same language. Our culture is almost the same. Our religion is also almost the same. So for us, Indonesia is the closest friend or country to us. And we have always tried to be on good terms with Indonesia, in particular with the leaders of Indonesia. We don't interfere in the internal affairs of Indonesia.